Well, okay, so I got another question kind of from similar to what we just talked about in regards to the Sony stuff. This came in
Mm.
from Holly asking, now that Sony has moved most of its 2020 films into 2021, do you think that the studio will be prime for a takeover from Apple? Have you been
Mm.
hearing about this at all?
No.
So this has been a long gestating rumor that I've heard for a while because there's been okay. So you heard the reports last week about Apple potentially being in a position to cash buy out Disney.
I thought it was Tencent that was going to do that, but I heard a couple of different rumors about that. Yeah.
Okay, so I had heard I didn't hear 10 cent, but I there were trades that were talking about Apple buying Disney. And but the thing is, it's such a weird thing to say to me, for me to hear because they were like, oh, yeah, they would just buy it in order to get access to like all the Disney Plus content because Apple Plus TV or Apple TV Plus is failing, And I'm like, well, yeah, put out better content and people are going to go check it the fuck out. But until then, they're
Mm.
just not. So I don't view Disney as being in a position to be purchasable by Apple. It just right now, given the pandemic, I
Hmm.
mean, come on, bad PR. Be bad PR if there was a hostile takeover of Disney right now.
Yeah.
And so that's an issue. But Sony has been rumored to be Sony Pictures, I should say, not Sony, the development company, everything else, but just Columbia Pictures and Sony Pictures have been rumored to be up for sale for
Mm.
quite some time. Because if you've been following a lot of the trades, there's been Sony doesn't really have a win outside of Spider-Man, and I would say that Jumanji was decent, but it didn't do anywhere near as good as Welcome to the Jungle, the first one.
Right. Mm.
And I mean, we're talking like $300 million less, which is significant for a sequel
Yeah.
to lose. To not even get it close to the predecessor.
Well, I mean, shit. The first one came out and it was kind of a sneaker hit, and it also came out against nothing.
Actually, that's not
So,
true. It came out against The Last Jedi. It came out a week after The Last Jedi.
no, 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 no. I mean, the first one, not
Yeah,
not the
the
latest one.
first one came out a week after The Last Jedi.
Did it?
A week or 2 weeks after The Last Jedi. Yeah, it did.
Mm.
And this one opened a week before The Rise of Skywalker, which was a ballsy move on Sony's part, but they probably thought that they wanted to get that money at first in order to not be swept away by The Rise of Skywalker, which, had a real strong Christmas run. Anyway, so, Sony, and I criticize Sony a lot, but Sony seems to have a lot of problems here. Like I wanted to bring up the article here about Morbius and Ghostbusters moving everything back to 2021 because I think this is going to put them in a position where they could be bought out. Is the reason why, because they've got nothing coming really outside of Venom, which looking at the success of Venom 1 with its 860 million in 2018, which is so weird to say that that's a reality we live in. Um,
Mhm.
but they don't have anything else. I mean, look at here. You got Morbius, Ghostbusters sequel, and more. And I'm pissed off at Ghostbusters because I really wanted to see it this summer. Uh,
I was cautiously optimistic
the
about the
trailer looked
Ghostbusters.
really good. To
Yeah.
me, it looked really good. So it says Sony Pictures has pushed back many of its major tentpoles, including Morbius, Ghostbusters, Uncharted, and Peter Rabbit 2 to next year. Well, I mean, Uncharted was already going to be in March of 2021, so that's kind of whatever.
Mhm.
But I mean, Jared Leto's Morbius pushed back July 31st to March 19th. Tom Holland's Uncharted went from March 5th to October 8th, 2021. Ghostbusters is from July 10th to March 5th. Those two, Morbius and Ghostbusters, will maintain the same distance apart from each other, which I do find that to be kind of weird that Sony is going to release two major films in 1 month,
Wow.
right? That doesn't seem a little bit weird to you?
It's almost like they're playing against themselves at that
It
point.
does. I mean, they're 2 weeks apart, and they obviously speak to different audiences, kind of. Like, I mean, the Ghostbusters audience are going to be probably wanting to go check out Morbius. I just feel like they run in line together.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe you're right that they're going to play them against each other, but I do feel like we're going to see a change there. But the thing is, though, is March is the end of the quarter, right? And
Right.
so it's the end of the quarter, so they want to get that money coming out and get in there at the end of the quarter. So that's why they want to do that. Then, Peter Rabbit 2, The Runaway, moved from August to January. That makes sense because having a kids film in January is fine. And Peter Rabbit did actually really well. The first one did. So this one should do okay too. But it says here that virtually every major Sony title has moved out of 2020, with the exception of Kevin Hart's drama Fatherhood, which moved up from January 13, 2020 or moved up to October from January. Tom Hanks' World War II drama Greyhound was taken off the schedule indefinitely. And then, of course, Venom is still coming out right now in, I believe, somewhere in there. I think November, October. But it's not even, as far as I can see, it's not even mentioned in this article, which is interesting. Why wouldn't they mention Venom as being like impacted by this? I have no freaking idea what's going on with Venom, but I do think if Venom's not being talked about, that means it's probably also looking like it could be moved as well.
Probably, or maybe they're thinking about maybe going with a streaming route for it, and that's why they didn't mention it.
860 million on that first one. I think that'd be a dumb move to do. I really do. I think that'd be a dumb move because that is leaving money on the table, and that is, in that, like I said, right now with Sony being in that position of not having any major tentpole, Columbia Pictures is going to be hurting. So that could be a time when they want to look to sell. And that could be something that comes out of Apple coming in being cash rich and just buying them out, because Sony's not only does it have the film distribution, it's also got the television side, and the television side does actually really, really, really well. They do The Boys on Amazon. Have you seen that one? Yeah. And they do like Breaking Bad is Sony, and like Goldbergs and like a lot of the ABC comedies are them too. So there's a lot that Sony does TV wise that I think is going to be pretty big. We'll have to just wait and see what happens ultimately with this move. But this in my mind opens them up for a takeover or a fire sale. And if they sell, then this is the biggest kicker. They're probably not going to want to do anything until next year, because if they sell, all the Spider-Man rights go back to Marvel. The deal that they have is that they're with Columbia Pictures.
Right.
And if they sell, those rights do not go with the sale. So that's something to consider as well, which might be why they're really wanting Morbius and Venom to come out and to work alongside Spider-Man and the MCU in order to keep them in the black. Well, again, we'll have to wait and see what happens on that front, but I really don't think they're gonna survive much longer.
Well, and then that's an interesting theory too, because maybe they're waiting to see how Disney's going to play their hand before they talk about Venom.
Maybe, yeah, because we are waiting on Black Widow and everything else. I mean, like I've said before, the Eternals and Shang-Chi, they're expendable, right? Like they can go, move those into 2021. Like no one's gonna care because they're new stories, so you have the leeway to play with them a bit. Whereas, all the Disney Plus shows are all going to be tied into Black Widow and the current state of the MCU phase 3 and all that jazz. So, those ones more people are interested in. But I really feel like you could just move back Eternal there. It's fine. Nothing really. I don't know. They don't really blow my skirt up. Thor 4 I'm interested in, but that's kind of the only one out of this phase outside of Black Widow. Thanks for watching this clip from Hollywood After Dark. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like, a comment, subscribe, support via Patreon, and check us out at twitch.tv/3bucktheater. Thank you again, have yourself a great day, and peace out.